and Heels podcast. One handsome devil. Your host, Jack Purcell. Scissor me, daddy ass. Louis Perry, here comes. Don't forget to subscribe and click the bell. Faces and Heels podcast.
Welcome to the Faces and Heels podcast. We're celebrating Top Guy Tuesday, and there's no one else to do it with. And no, Louis, it's not just you. We've got the top guy, and if you don't know him, you're about to get to know him even better. We've got the Griffin McCoy with us.
Oh, there he is. Look at that cat. You know, I was doing some research because I wanted to meet Griffin for a while, doing some research, and he's going to be making his debut in the New England area, and it's because of you. You know, and usually it's because of me. I'm pounding the pavement. I'm trying to get new people underneath my stable so I could actually say, hey, I want to be your manager, and I'm trying to make the money. I'm moving and grooving, being a businessman. But Jack, you pulled the wool over my eyes on this one. You did it. I didn't
invite you to the Pro Wrestling Grind show so that you wouldn't get to meet Griffin McCoy with me, because I got to meet him in East Hampton, Massachusetts at the world famous Pulaski Club against Andy Brown in the match of the night.
Yeah, but you know what? I sold his t-shirt right there. Look at that design. I designed it, so we cut you out the deal.
Okay. Luckily, I got some other shit I'm drawing, so we're good.
Yeah, so anyway, Eric Hunting comes in and says, good evening, my friends. Hey, you're not going to be my friend after this week's trivia. That much I can tell you. So, wow. Hey.
Okay.
Wow. Oh, my God.
Whew. Louis, you're on fire tonight.
I know. Coming off a good show last night with Emily, and it's just like a good show on Saturday with us at Super Saturday. I had a blast there. I got to look at some footage because you and Emily got some splaining to do. And could you believe, Griffin, if you had a tag team partner, right? Say you had two tag team partners, two different people that you work with. I work with three different people, and two of those three people got together and they kind of sort of had an interview. One person was interviewing the other person about you and what it's like to work about you. How would you feel?
So I know that it definitely happens because I do have multiple tag team partners being part of Young, Dumb, and Broke. And I know for a fact that they have separate group chats with, maybe certain combinations or just like two of them or like maybe all three of them that definitely exclude me where they talk mad smack. So I know it happens. It happens definitely on a daily basis. And you know what? C'est la vie. I'm not going to concern myself with it. I know that when I roast them in my separate group chats, I know I'm roasting them even harder than they're roasting me. So
you know what it is? I know what it is, Griff. Can I call you Griff? One of the first thing. I'm going to call you Griff. You know what it is? Because you and I are the whole effing show. We carry both our teams. I carry the entire Angrygeeks network on my back, and I'm sure you do everything the same for your guys. And, even I work with two beautiful women and this guy. So, you know what? I carry it all on my back, brother. We both got the guns. Show your guns. Show your guns. Show your guns. That's right. We both got the guns. We carry it on our back. Don't let the gray. Yep. Ooh. Look at that. Yep. That's right. And so it's like we got the guns. We carry it on our back. And of course, they got to talk smack. Anyway, it's not about me. It's about you tonight. Jack, take over.
You took the words out of my mouth, brother. Well, so Griffin, thank you so much for being here because, it was really interesting that at Blitzkrieg and at Wrestling Open and at Pro Wrestling Grind, I have been able to, as a wrestling fan, have those great moments where I discover someone new whose work I wasn't familiar with. And that particular night at Grind, I really didn't do my homework. I didn't know enough about you. And the first time I ever got to see you live, when you came out to face Andy Brown, I wasn't sure what was going to happen because we've had Andy Brown on the show. I knew some of his work from California, and I kind of thought like maybe I had one too many beers before the show because I saw him come out in Springfield, Massachusetts. And I'm like, wait a minute, like this is a California guy, and I didn't know he was going to be there. And he ended up moving over to this coast. But when you came out, like I didn't realize like what a big dude you were, and I was like, oh, like this guy is gonna really give Andy Brown a run for his money. And I thought you were going to be the first guy ever at Pro Wrestling Grind to destroy one of the chandeliers, because I don't know if you remember, but at one point you did a dive to the outside off the top rope, and it wasn't just like a dive; it was like a launch.
Yes.
And I thought, oh my god, like I hope he doesn't hit the. But it was amazing, perfectly executed, and I mean, what a match! Like, how did you feel about that match? Like, had you faced Andy Brown before?
No, that was the first time ever matchup. That's my first time ever like meeting the dude. But like he's from obviously the West Coast. I have lived in the Philadelphia area for like the past like 13 years, but originally I am from San Francisco, California. That's where I was like born, and I lived there till I was like 7.5, and then like halfway through second grade, I moved to San Diego, California, and I was there for a few years, and I moved to Philly when I was 10. So we both have that like West Coast connection, but obviously like we're both kind of transplants in the same way. Like he just moved, but I like moved when I was younger. But there is still that like, there is like a difference between West Coast and East Coast and just like people in general. But that was the first time I ever met him. That I've been hearing about Grind, and I've had other wrestlers like O'Shea Edwards. I've known him forever. Great dude. And he actually put me on to them, was like, hey, like, they're doing Grind up here. Like I do this, like, maybe you should check it out. And like, I ended up hitting up the, Grind. And I mean, I think everyone knows that it's Rip Bison because, they like Andy Brown, like spilled the beans.
Yeah.
But, Andy Brown, I will say this about Andy Brown, he's a tough competitor, great wrestler, gave me a run for my money. I didn't win the match, but I'm going to come back to get that dub back. That's a guarantee. Nice. But Andy Brown, I got to spend the night afterwards, like hanging out with a bunch of the guys. And Andy Brown is, possibly one of the funniest people I have met. However, it is for all the wrong reasons. He is actually funny, and he says hilarious stuff. But oh my God, we have to be talking about some of the things he talks about in like a cave in the middle of the woods where no electronics can hear us because he's that funny. But no, we had a great match, and it was electric in the Pulaski Center. Like I didn't realize that venue, and like they packed it out too. It was a great show overall. Like the whole show. Like I watched the whole thing after my match with the first match. Money place to be on the card, but I got to watch the whole thing. All the matches were great. The crowd was great for all of it. I interacted with a lot of fans, and like a lot of people came up to me saying like, oh, yo, like I didn't know much about you before this, but like I really hope you come back. And I'm pretty sure I will be making my return probably after I come back from my tour of Europe in June. I'll be making my way back to Grind Pro Wrestling, which I'm very happy about. But yeah, match was great. We killed it, tore the place down. I got the "please come back" chant. They clapped when I shook my booty a little bit. So, I'm very excited to come back.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I remember I was kind of fanboying out. I was like, holy crap, that was awesome. And I'm like, you must tear it up everywhere you go and make all these new fans. I mean, that was a big deal. Yeah. Like that crowd was super hot. And I think it was the biggest crowd I've ever seen at Grind. And they really responded to you. And you did get the "please come back" chant. And that was for real. When that crowd does it, they mean it, because they don't do it with everyone. You heard, there were other people they didn't do it for. So that was awesome. And for me as a fan, man, that was like the icing on the cake. Like I was psyched because I know a lot of those guys, seen them wrestle. And then like for that match to open the show, it was outrageous.
Yeah.
Hold on one second. We have no.
No. Yeah, no.
I haven't seen it yet. You can't be spoiling it. My man John Cena, come on.
Yeah.
No.
Movie of the year, right?
Griff, I have a question for you. I usually save this to about near the end of the show or second half hour of the show, but because of your reception at the Pulaski Center, um, how did it feel the first time you walked behind the curtain and you seen someone holding up a sign for you? And do you remember what it said?
Ooh, do I remember what it said? You know, I think the first sign for me was probably, I wasn't really a nice guy in the first like 3.5 years of my career. And I received a lot of hate, from fans, and deservedly so. I was a bit of I wouldn't like me neither at this point. But I think one of the first signs I got was probably like a Griffin, like you suck, like or like, maybe it's like a picture of me, like an 8x10, like someone like doodled on, like, like drew a wiener on it or something like that. My first sign was very positive. Like I think I might have gotten some like people like made things for me and like give it to me like after a show, but like no one's like, I don't think my first sign was ever like a let's go Griffin. Like, no, it was like Griffin sucks, or like, just something. It just wasn't very nice in the beginning, but nowadays I get a lot of nice signs, which I love. I love signs,
All right. Eric says the Pulaski lends itself well for wrestling, right?
That was a great.
Yeah. Okay.
I think I don't know if you drink bourbon or whiskey, but if you do, I'm sure you'll get along well with Rip and Andy. And I know there's often Jack and Cokes and that sort of thing happening after their matches at the Pulaski. So they make a mean Jack and Coke in case you didn't have one.
Yeah, they were hogging it last time. They said they got like 2 bottles for like the weekend, and by the time we got there that night, there was like a quarter of one left. And I'm like, first time, I was raised to be nice and polite. I let them get their drinks, and when I thought the time was right, I'm like, all right, like now's the time. Like, hey, like, can I get a little, bourbon? I love bourbon, I love whiskey, I love gin, I love tequila. I'm not a big vodka guy, but yeah, I'm like, all right, here's my chance to like, ask. And I look at the bottle and it's like bone dry. And then Andy's going like, yeah, like, we got 2 for the whole weekend, and we only had about like this much left when we got back here tonight. So I was like, dang. But next time, I'm striking the iron while it's hot. I'm getting in there early.
Definitely. Yeah, you got some tough competitors when it comes to the bourbon and whiskey. So good experience, good information, because I can't imagine you won't be back. And like you said, you're doing a tour of Europe. How long is that going to be happening?
Yes. So I am leaving May 31st, which is next Wednesday, and I will be gone. I think my flight home is June 27th. So just like slightly under a month. But yeah, I'm going to be based, this is in partnership with CCW and WXW. And they've done this kind of thing in the past before, but this is like the first time in a while, especially since the pandemic. And we're going over for a month, me and I think about 12 other members of our roster. And we'll be based in like right by their like new training facility, which I hear it has like, like weights, MMA gym on top of like wrestling, like ring and all that stuff. So I'm super excited for that. But I know we're going to be wrestling in the UK as well. We just had a show got set up for Pro Wrestling Holland, so I'll be in Amsterdam.
Nice.
So I'm going to be there for the entire month, and it's my first time overseas. I've wrestled in Canada before, so I've done international, but this is like really international. So I'm very excited.
That's fantastic. I mean, the WXW champion is going to be at Grind on this Friday. So Ava Everett is going to be against Becca this Friday.
Yes.
At Grind. So that's interesting. Is she also going on that tour with you? Do you know?
I don't think she's going to be going like with us per se, but she might be over there because I know they have 2 really big shows, June 17th and June 18th. It's like Oberhausen and I forget the other name. It's equally German, but she very well could be there. So,
right on.
I've known Ava for, she knew me when I was a young delinquent who was getting nasty things written about him. So, but it's awesome to see her like, come into her own and like, obviously win a pretty major championship. So,
yeah, no, for sure. And I mean,
as long as she can keep it, as long as she can keep it against Becca.
Right, because Becca's no slouch. I mean, she had an incredible match with Davian, like the first ever grind show. That was the show stealer. Like Becca and Davian was insane. So yeah, I mean, for sure, can't look past her at grind. Would you consider CZW to be like your home promotion?
Yes, 100,000%. I'm even wearing my sweet best of the best 2023 shirt that I got with my name on the back. I can't really turn too much. I just did squats, but yeah, CZW is my home promotion. That's, where I started training. I started training there when I was 18 years old. And I've been there ever since, and it's doing me pretty well. So, I do in fact bleed black and yellow. Nice. Not literally though, figuratively, but still,
right.
Yeah,
I mean, we have seen you bleed a few times. Now it's usually the other guy bleeding, but I remember the JD Drake match that you had was pretty brutal. Like there were some pretty crazy exchanges. A lot of your matches, it seems like you're welcoming like chopping contests and like you're into that idea of like just toe to toe.
Yeah, I say this a lot about myself. People are like, hey, like Griffin, describe yourself in a couple phrases. I describe myself as ultra competitive. And, that just might sound like a cool combination of words, but I think I really do have a competitive problem. Whereas, in my personal life, like my friends don't like playing video games with me anymore. Like they really don't. They don't enjoy it, because like, especially like, like UFC or like 2K, like NBA or like WWE, like whatever. Like I am naturally gifted at beating people in video games. And I've beaten some pretty impressive people before. I've beaten Sammy Callahan before in WWE 2K. I've beaten Rich Swann more times than I can count. Like I've beaten some like notable gamers within the wrestling gaming community. And, it goes to like, just like playing basketball too. Like anything, I tend to get very, into it. So, when it comes to the wrestling ring, it is not too much different. Like I really do want to see if people can like really give me their best shot, and like, we'll see what happens. Like, I'm a student of the game. I love watching everyone. Like I have people I looked up to, and like, like hell yeah, I want to see if JD Drake chops as hard as everyone says he does, and he does. He definitely does. He definitely does. So don't tell JD Drake that Griffin McCoy is out here to like pooping on his chops. Like. I'm good, but yeah, no, I love the physicality. Like I love getting in there and like, seeing who wants it more, because at the end of the day, like I think people really love to see, like when you're in the ring, they love to see the competition. I'm an entertaining guy. I love to entertain, but what's entertaining for me personally is seeing who can push themselves past their physical limits. Like who really wants it in this match, like that. I think those are the moments I love the most, because in those moments I shine, and in those moments I, more often than not, sometimes it bites me in the butt for show, but more often than not, I want a little more than the next guy. And I think that's what makes me so successful.
Do you think with that notion, you bring out more from your opponent?
Yes, 100%. Maybe like a year and a half ago, before I really started like wrestling, like when CZW like came back and I was able to get like these bigger matches. At first, I don't think people really understood, like why I wrestled the way I was, or like what, like kind of what I just explained. But over like the past, like I would say like 6 months, like I have like people have come with that expectation. So like beforehand, like, I would bring it out of them for sure. But I don't think they were expecting that at first. But like over these past 6 months, like people I've like wrestled and like, people I've gone against, like they have that like idea that like, hey man, like I'm going to get in there with Griffin and like we're going to go, like I can see it in their eyes now. You can't fake steak You know, you really cannot fake steak. Like when you see that in another person's eyes, especially another wrestler, like you know, and like I've been getting that. And they're like, but that's not like I'm not saying like I'm out here intimidating dudes, but like I think people understand like, hey, like I'm gonna give it, like me personally, Griffin McCoy is gonna give it literally everything because that's how I roll. And if you don't give it everything right there with me, it is going to be a very rough night for you. You know, in terms of just like, not in terms of just getting beat up, because you're going to get beat up regardless, but in terms of like, like I think even the crowd, like I'm going to win over the crowd, like I'm going to get them. So like you need to bring just as much if you want to like, really make something special in the ring. And I think that's what works so well about me versus Andy Brown. Like I think we both went in there and we're like, I don't care if we're first match. I don't care if we're right after the, toilet break or like whatever that means. But like, we are going to go out there. We are going to tear this house down. We are going to give these people something that they're going to want to see again. And from their response, that's what it seemed like. So,
all right. Yeah. Jack, one of our favorite listeners, why don't you read this comment? Because I think it already happened.
Okay. Eric Hunting says, from what I'm hearing, I would like to see Griffin face Alec Price. Mm-hmm. Well, 100%.
Oh, yeah. It's funny. So me and Alec actually tagged recently, like semi-recently.
Ooh. Okay.
And at Jersey Championship Wrestling at the what's it called? The Showboat. I think this happened. I think this was like the day after January 1st this year. It was like that New Year's Eve weekend. And it was me and him versus Gabriel Sky and Austin Luke. And so, me and Alec, we had a great match. Like I've known Gabe Sky, Austin Luke, like pretty much my whole career. I've known Alec for like a little bit less time, but like, like we run in similar circles. So I know Alec. But we had our match. Me and Alec won. But as I hit my finishing maneuver, the sunset kick, the springboard off the second rope, enziguri to the dome, like Cody Rhodes' disaster kick. As I springboarded, you gotta let people know, man. So I don't want to get it twisted. But as I springboarded, Alec Price like tagged himself in, like
that SOB.
Yeah, that SOB, and I beat whoever I kicked in the face. I knocked him out. I was going to go for the pin. The ref was like, no way. Alex scurried on over because, he's not he looks a little bit like a mole rat, so it fits. And he, stole the cover, which is like fine in the long run. Like we got the win, but like, like it's a media and video driven world out here nowadays. And so like when that gets posted all around, like, and it's just like Alec can like clip that and just show himself getting the win and like, like screw me out of it, like I don't know. I think that's a little uncalled for. I've been one to do some devious tactics. I get it. I'm just trying to put some good karma on myself, but like I'm not above it. But at the same time, you don't gotta do it.
Yeah. You know what we have to say about that?
Hey, congratulations! Somebody famous now hates you.
How about that? That's what we have to say about that. Perfect. Jack, you shouldn't say bad things like that, though.
You're right. Eric Hunting says, very Alec Price thing to do.
Yeah.
Sounds to me like we need a one-on-one match to settle this and make it clear.
Yeah. I mean, like I don't got money for that match, but I'm pretty sure someone out there does. And, I'm pretty sure either from 5 people to 500 million would enjoy that match and would pay good money to see it.
I'd be front row.
Again and again and again.
For sure. I mean, there's so many matches that there's a couple people I have to ask you about because I know you've been in the ring with some people who I think you would have an unbelievable one-on-one with, and I might have missed a few things along the way. But I know that you've been in the ring with Facade and I think it was like a 4-way dance of some kind. But have you ever had a one-on-one match with the Neon Ninja?
I have never faced Facade one-on-one. I think I've been in a few multi-mans with him, but Facade is at one of like my regular promotions, Premier Pennsylvania Wrestling, which streams on Fight TV. Good little plug there. But yeah, so like, me and him are real cool. another guy I've known forever, great dude, you know, a true pro. But yeah, we've never had that like singles match. And like we've had those moments in the ring where like, you know, we've like really connected in there, and like, you know, when we go to battle, like people go like woo. So, you know, I'm very sure I will be wrestling that guy sooner rather than later. You know, we're just around too many of the same places together. I'm sure at some point, someone soon will go, hey, why not these two guys? And they're going to go,
Absolutely.
"Oh, why didn't I do that sooner?"
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, it was kind of like when I was going back, I was just trying to make sure I caught as many of your matches as I could. And I thought, like, how the hell have these guys not fought in a one-on-one? And we've had Facade on a couple times, actually. And one thing we talked about with him and with Danny and Vita Von Star and Travis Huckabee and a lot of others is there some magnet that pulled you from San Diego to Philly? Because there's something about Philly that seems to breed great pro wrestlers.
Yeah, you know, it's funny you say that. So like I was pulled against my will. It was for my dad's work, you know. However, like, you know, my other like group mates of Young Dumb and Broke, like Ellis Taylor and like Charlie Tiger, and then like another and you know, like extended YDMB member like Christian Robinson, who wrestles for like Unsanctioned Pro and has wrestled like GCW and stuff before. But you know, those are like my best friends, and like we all grew up like very close to each other. Like Charlie lives really 2 minutes away from my house.
Wow.
I mean, Ellis, he lives in Jersey now, but like his family's house is like the block over from Charlie's house. Christian Robinson, like we work out together all the time. You know, like I see Charlie all the time. Like there's like a lot of people who have like come from like Philadelphia or like even like our area, which is like so weird. And like obviously like Jordan Oliver, like, you know, it's one of my best friends. Like,
oh, nice.
He's from Newburgh, but like he came and moved to like with like Ellis Taylor, and like we all lived like right in the same area. So like, you know, even like still like we all kind of came up at like the same time, like all being from here. And like I really don't know what it is. You know, it might be something in the water. Who knows? But I don't know. I think at the same time too, like what gets a lot of people to stay in Philly and like maybe make it out, I think it's the fact that like there is this edge to Philadelphia,
for sure.
And I'm not saying like I live in an edgy place, you know, I live pretty cushy, but I think like just the general attitude of the city. And at first,
do you think it's because of ECW back in my era?
I think that has a lot to do with it too. Like, cause like I think like especially with ECW, like obviously that's a little before my time. I'm 23 years old, but like even still, like I know plenty of people who are just like not even like total wrestling fans, but just like they know I'm a wrestler, and they talk about ECW too. And like they talked about how like ECW, while it became such a big thing, it embodied Philadelphia. You know, like Philly is like in your face. Philadelphia is home to like, you know, like Philly is a little different. And I know that's such a blanket term, but like it is different, you know, like it's not like a New York City. Like I think New York City is just like, you know, thinking it's, you know, poop don't stink. I don't know if we can swear or not, but
you're good.
It's thing is it should don't stink. You know, like I got love for everyone, for my boys from New York, but like I think Philly like really like just has a little bit of that edge where like everyone's an asshole, but everyone's good-hearted at the end of the day. But, you know, I think, but everyone just like there's no nonsense to Philly. You know, like people like they want matter of fact, they want straight up, and like especially like nowadays, like I don't think we live in a very like straight up world at all. But I think Philly is like a place where like people from here are like very straight up, like they're very to the point, and like I think that just makes you more of an not like aggressive in a bad way, but like I know dealing with other people, like I am like upfront to them. Like I do want my answers now. Like I do want to like get things done. And I think that's why like so many people who are creative from Philadelphia or like who just like come from Philly, like, you know, they just already have that built into them. And I think that's what carries them to like the success that they have, if that makes sense.
Yeah, totally.
No doubt. Because like I've gotten to go to a bunch of conventions for, you know, doing the comic book circuit and all that. And all the shows in Philly, it's funny. The fans are very upfront, and they'll tell you what they think. They don't mind telling you something that's negative necessarily, and they're not attacking you, but they're just telling you what they think, and they're organized too. And I
Yeah.
mean, I remember just having a blast, like finding these little bars, and just
Mhm.
people were friendly enough. Like you could talk to people, like if they knew that you were somebody who had an ECW shirt on and they're into wrestling, they'll start talking to you about it. And I just
Yeah.
found people there to be like not in a North Carolina way, but really friendly. And I had lots of fun in Philly every time I've got a chance to be there.
We
Yeah.
do have a picture of Jack hanging out in Philly if you're interested.
Oh, I would love to see that. Let's see it. Ah, what was that?
That was when Jack was in Philly. He had way too much fun.
That was
And yeah,
That's
once
great.
again, I mean, that Jack was just like
Oh, hell yeah.
having fun in Philly. And I don't know what bar he went to, but yeah, he was in Philly. So
Yeah, no, that's not uncommon. Like, there's a fan who goes to 2300 arena a lot. Like, I don't know if you ever see like a 2300 like video, like whatever company, but he always dresses like Hollywood Hulk Hogan,
yes.
and he's always front row. And like maybe you've seen him, maybe you haven't. Sometimes he does like like 80s Hulk Hogan, but like always Hollywood Hulk Hogan. So like, hey, that ain't nothing crazy. Like that fits right in here. So
Totally. That's awesome. Eric Hunting has a good question that we have a good answer to. You probably have more good answers. But Eric Hunting, big listener, big fan. Do you have do you have your eyes on any other New England promotions?
Oh, for sure, Eric Hunting. I have my eyes on a lot of pies. I'm a hungry boy, but but yeah, obviously. So like, what's really cool now that like once I get in to New England, because like it's close. I'm Philly. That's not far at all. But like
4 hours.
4 hours. 4 hours. That's
4 hours. I just did the drive 2 weeks ago. 4
Yeah.
hours.
For a wrestler, 4 hours. Easy money. I think 4 hours is easier than 2 hours for real. But yeah, but like, even though it's close, like even though people say territories aren't really a thing, I think territories are very much a thing. There's clustered, it's tri-state areas, for here it's Pennsylvania, New Jersey. I would even say like I would kind of say New York, but like even New York is kind of like a bubble into itself. But like, you do kind of have to like pop into that bubble, and like you kind of gotta like when you pop in, you better grab a hold of that thing, because like everyone's trying to like pop into these bubbles, and like it doesn't work for everyone, but luckily it has so far. But yeah, but once I obviously grind was like my first one. I was like all right, like if there's one that I think I can like get a foot in, it would be grind, and it worked out beautifully. Obviously now, thanks to my good friend Jack Purcell, Blitzkrieg was another one I had on my list, and I'm knocking that one off too. And I think it will go just the same as grind, because I'm in there with, not just my boys, Jordan Oliver and Charlie Tiger, but the Miracle ones, like Kylon, Ichiban, and number one, that's a little translation, so of course you gotta say that. But of course you gotta say that. And Dustin Waller, I almost forgot his name. I obviously know who he is, but yeah, like we're gonna go out there and like, come on, that's a no-brainer too. You got 6 young studs out there who take their craft very seriously and want to go hard 100% of the time. That's gonna be good. But other than that, Limitless. I have been to Limitless to like help out or whatever, but I've never wrestled there. But I think very soon I will be pulling up, at least just pulling up. And then obviously beyond wrestling, like I have so many, I mean, everyone has so many people who they know who have like gone through there, but like guys like Desmond Cole, guys like Gabe Sky, Tristan Ty above the rest. I even just wrestled, who's it called? Fancy Ryan Clancy. We just had a match this past Sunday at NFW. So that was kind of a cool, like little, like, East Coast versus like New England right there. And we put on like a mat classic, we got in there and we had a great match. So I know Wrestling Open, I think right when I get back from my tour, I'm definitely going to see what's up with like those two companies. And like Chaotic Wrestling 2 is obviously really good. I know there's like a couple more, but like I would like, Limitless, Beyond Wrestling, like those are kind of like the two biggest fish, as some would say. But yeah, those are the places that now I'm trying to get into. But obviously, we gotta walk before we can run, boys. Am I right? So we gotta make sure, I love grind. I definitely want to make that a priority if they'll have me. But yeah, obviously grind, obviously blitzkrieg, and I think the rest will follow from there. I think it really will. I think if I just keep doing what I'm doing, keep getting people hype, getting people loving Griffin McCoy, it'll all come to pass. I
think it's inevitable. Really, when I saw you at that show, I was like, holy shit. I hope I get to talk to this guy. And luckily you were generous with your time. I got to talk to you a little bit. But Wrestling Open, to me, like Eric said, you would be an amazing addition to Wrestling Open too. There's a special energy about those shows. Yeah, I was getting there.
One of our partners.
Yeah, no. Hang on. One step at a time.
It's like the bat signal.
Yeah. Right. But the thing about Blitzkrieg is that Jordan Oliver just debuted for the first time on that last show, and then you're debuting on kind of their biggest show, their WrestleMania. The Luau is the big show. So for you to, the July 7th, I think it is.
Yeah. Let's go.
Big one. Yeah. Andy Brown's defending against Anthony Henry. Your trios match is going to be insane. It's going to be killer. I can't say anything else about it. And but who knows, if Jeremy is listening now and he wants to chime in, feel free. But a Pro Wrestling Grind, I would say it's impossible for you not to be there. And I'm just going to throw this out there because I know Rip watches and listens, but you against Ryan Mooney would be insane.
Oh, yes, for sure.
I don't know if have you ever faced him before?
I've never faced him. I've known him for a bit, he was the first one to fall asleep. I'm just going to say that. But, now, thank God he did, because I need to fall asleep too. Andy Brown's keeping me up all night with these jokes, and God bless him that he did, because I would have fallen asleep so immediately. But yeah, I would love to wrestle Ryan Moody. I think, Griff versus Skyros. Yeah, I've known Skyros for a minute too, but I've never stepped in the ring with him either. So, that's another guy where
Moon Knight.
Yeah, Moon Knight. But you gotta get it.
Don't be messing with Moon Knight.
You gotta get a haircut, brother.
I'm talking about the comic book character.
Yeah. No, I know. But no, I've known those guys for a while, and not too well, but just you're in the business. People, you see people all the time. You see them at shows, but I've always been like, hey, I wonder if we wrestle, what would happen? So, I bet those will come to pass as well.
Yeah, I have a feeling, and again, I got no crystal ball, but a pretty educated opinion that 2023 is going to be your year in New England, because it can't help but be. And Lewis keeps giving his little subliminal messages here. Blood, Sweat, and Tears is another promotion, man. I'd love to see you against Lucas Chase, who's the champion over there.
Okay.
And,
all right.
Yeah. Blood, Sweat, and Tears is one of our partners. So, you would be an addition. I know that Kevin and Harry are always watching the show. Dude, you would rock over there. Everyone that you had just mentioned are all on the BST roster. And you would be just phenomenal on one of their cards. And Eric says yes. See, Eric even agrees. Yes, for sure. You would be.
And luckily, all these guys watch this podcast, so we know Kevin and Harry are listening. So Kevin, Harry, it's right here.
Yes, definitely. He'll be just tremendous. Oh, ladies and gentlemen, we all know what that is. It is time for Old School Trivia. Old School Trivia is brought to us by Alternate Universe LLC in Milford and New Haven, where tomorrow, Wednesday, is New Comic Book Day. Make sure you go in, talk to Eric, go to New Haven, talk to the guys out in New Haven. They have excellent back issues. They have graphic novels. They're 20 years plus in the business. Go there, get a sub. If you cannot go there, Eric will ship to you. Go there, tell them that you heard them on the Angry Geeks Network, Faces and Heels podcast, and let them know that they are Angry Geeks Network approved. It is now time for old school trivia. Griff, since you are the guest, you go first. And please, audience members, before you chime in, remember no Googling. This is for a no prize this week. Griff, you can answer first, and then Jack. Who is Chuck O'Connor?
Oh, come on, bro.
The question is, who is Chuck O'Connor? Is it Sir Oliver Humperdinck, Big John Studd, or Haystacks Calhoun? Once again, who is Chuck O'Connor?
Chuck O'Connor. Can you put the options back up again?
Sure. Is it Sir Oliver Humperdinck? Kind of looks like Jack's brother. Big John Studd. Big John Studd or Haystacks Calhoun. We do got a comment coming in, and Eric Hunting jumping all over it immediately. But who is Chuck O'Connor?
You know, I'm scared of AI, but I would really love AI to be here right now.
Remember, no Googling. No Googling.
All right. I'm going to say Haystacks Calhoun because his last name starts with a C. And you know what?
Okay.
I feel like I really have no clue. It's Sir Oliver Humperdinck. I've never even heard this guy.
No, I'm sorry, Griff. You are wrong.
Oh,
Jack.
God.
I gotta say, I'm using the same logic as Griffin. I'm saying because of his name, O'Connor, Oliver, it's Sir Oliver Humperdinck.
Sir Oliver Humperdinck. And that goes for Eric. Eric Hunting as well. No, the answer is Big John Studd. Now, here is the killer. Chuck O'Connor is not even Big John Studd's real name. Chuck O'Connor was his first wrestling name. It was actually a trick question. When he became Chuck O'Connor, it was the first time that the WWF had Supercard at Shea Stadium when it was Bob Backlund versus Pedro Morales at Bruno Sammartino versus Pedro Morales, at Shea Stadium. Big John Studd wrestled as Chuck O'Connor and actually lost the match. So no. Sorry, guys. You all suck. And Eric Hunting, son of a biscuit. Once again, I told you were going to lose tonight, Eric. Anyway, as everyone calls me, I am a fountain of useless information, and I'm Louis Perry. Jack, once again, you suck.
You're cementing that reputation.
I know.
Oh.
Now, for Griffin, let me explain who Sir Oliver Humperdinck is. Sir Oliver Humperdinck was a manager. He was a pro wrestler turned manager all throughout the late 70s, all through the 80s, and he actually managed Bam Bam Bigelow.
Wow. You know what?
And Emily comes in and says, "Oh, Louis, come on." I am. Thanks for joining us. Hey, what are you going to do?
I don't know. Wait for next week for revenge, I guess. But anyway.
Yeah, maybe.
Okay. You got us. But here's a question for Griffin, getting back to focusing on our guest. So I know you're busy. I mean, obviously you're in the gym a lot, you're maintaining your physique, you're booking your own stuff, you're doing all the stuff that needs to be done to be an independent wrestler. But do you have time to regularly watch wrestling? And if so, like what is it that turns you on? Like what do you watch every week?
Hey, don't ask him what turns him on. That's kind of personal.
Yeah, I was about to say I had that in my mind, but I'm like, I'm gonna let it slide.
I mean, we already talked about his mom being upset about the Twitter feed now, Jack. Come on.
All right. So I'll choose my words more carefully. So.
Yes, please.
I know. Yeah, I know. Word to the wise man. My mom hates my Twitter feed. And not all the time, but like I think I've gotten like a lot better. But man, like she used to hate my Twitter feed. But regardless, so I don't get to watch, like I can't watch Raw. I can hardly even watch SmackDown, you know, to get my time to line up. Because, you know, I'll say this too. I'm a college student. You know, I actually just finished up my, you know, like I took a couple years off after high school. You know, I'm not a dummy either. I got all A's. I'm an honor roll. I was a former English tutor. Let's put that out there right there.
Nice.
But yeah, I took a couple years off after high school to pursue wrestling. It was going very well. And then the pandemic hit, and I was like, you know what? Might as well get my degree. So here I am in college. That's a really long-winded way to say that I don't really get to watch a whole lot of like television wrestling, you know? And, you know, some people be like, oh, Griffin, you should be watching. Isn't that where you want to be? And I'm like, at the end of the day, man, like, I don't want to watch anything that like is going to like taint how it influences like my thought process about wrestling. You know, like I'm at the phase where like, you know, I've just been like starting to find myself and like really hone down like who I am. So most of the stuff that I watch is the stuff that like, you know, inspired me early on and like continues to inspire me today. So like, you know, I love like Japanese wrestling is a very blanket term. And like, but you know, I love like 90s All Japan. Like obviously who doesn't love Kenta Kobashi, Misawa, Kawada, you know, even Taue. I love my dude Taue. And I love Jun Akiyama too. Evening to you too, Steven. But you're interrupting me.
Yeah.
But
That's Stephen, Rhode Island's very own real life Peter Griffin. He actually
really?
had a throwdown with Solo Sequoia a couple weeks ago. We actually had the footage.
Oh wow, send that to me later. But
I will follow him on Instagram. He's a good friend of the show.
But yeah,
So
so like I watch like 90s All Japan. Obviously I love New Japan. New Japan's like Dream 1A and 1B is like WB obviously, but like New Japan, like obviously like Okada has been like a big influence of mine.
In his Peter Griffin voice.
Already. I got collab, brother. But you know, I watch New Japan. You know, I love to watch like technical wrestling. Like, you know, I don't watch like just like World of Sport, but like, you know, I'll hone in on like particular wrestlers. You know, it's always kind of like a particular wrestler deep dive. You know, like recently I was on on a Bret Hart kick for like a hot minute where I was just watching like Bret Hart. You know, before I wrestled this guy, Kenta, maybe you've heard of him. But yeah, let the man finish.
Yeah, Lewis, stop talking.
But before I wrestled Kenta, like Kenta was like my number one like watch all the time. Like I've loved him since I first like got into like Japanese wrestling. Like he's been like my dude, and like, you know, so blessed to wrestle him, and it was an amazing experience. And like that really is what like has like set me off in like the past few months. You know, like nothing that I'd be doing right now, I wouldn't be able to do it without him. But yeah, I was on a huge Kenta kick until I had to wrestle him. I got really scared. I'm like, oh my god, I have to wrestle this guy now. It's giving me anxiety. But yeah, so like I'll go on like kicks. I don't know what my kick is right now. I just finished up my finals like a week ago. Like it wasn't this past weekend, but the weekend before. And obviously, like this weekend, like, you know, I was just in Best of the Best. I'll plug it again. That's where I got this shiner from. Again, hammer fist in the face by Fred Yehai. And then, you know, I wrestled Fancy Ryan Clancy. But yeah, so I haven't really like found my next kick yet. But I think when I go to Germany, obviously, like I'm just gonna go on to a deep dive of like whoever, probably just people I'm gonna end up like wrestling there, just like end up scouting like a bunch of people, like whoever like I end up facing, like just gonna do a bunch of that. And like, you know, I'm gonna be up there with like a bunch of other wrestlers who are like my friends and stuff. And you know, I love seeing what other people are into, because like, you know, like we all have our things we watch. Like I know, like, you know, when it comes between like maybe picking a new movie that's like kind of adventurous and like watching Goodfellas for like the 500th time, you know, I'm a sucker for Goodfellas. So like I'll go back and just like watch that, you know, or like I'll watch like another Martin Scorsese movie. But you know, when you go and like watch wrestling with other wrestlers, I think like that's what's really special, because you get to see like what they're into right now, or like what they find like really awesome, you know, like even my boys, Ellis Taylor, like, you know, I popped over one day to hang out and they were watching like really old, like mid-Atlantic wrestling, you know, they were just on like a kick. And so like, we just spent like 4 hours watching like I would watch like matches that I found on YouTube, but like when you watch that show, like we were watching like episodes, like episodes like plopped in the middle. And like you just saw how like, they like did wrestling shows and like that's way before my time. So just like seeing like how that is and like seeing like how like, it's not really different from like what we're doing now. Like obviously a bunch of like things have changed, the wrestling style has changed, but like at the end of the day, like, like wrestling on TV has always been like either people talking, fighting, doing like crazy stuff, like it's always kind of like, had that kind of like general outline. And that's like the really cool thing to see, like, like I knew it wasn't gonna be that different, but like not really watching that for most of my life and like being able to see how like they did everything.
Progressed. Yeah.
How it progressed. Exactly. So, like I think that's what's just really special about like just hanging out with like other wrestlers, just really just like, broadening your mind and seeing like just like the universe of like wrestling content and like history that's out there. Like I'm gonna look up Sir Oliver Humperdinck, like maybe I'm gonna look up like Sir Oliver Humperdinck while I'm doing like this 8-hour plane ride over to Dusseldorf. So
All right, my last question for the night: did the dojo find you, or did Griffin find the dojo?
Look
at that smile! Wow, I like that.
I mean, that's a good question, man. Like, I guess we found each other. We found love in a hopeless place, but I guess it found me in the sense that like like my friends were like the ones who were like, and specifically it was like Jordan Oliver. He like sat me down one day in Ellis Taylor's basement and was like, yo, man, like you say you want to be a wrestler. We're all doing that. What's your excuse? High school? And I'm like, mind you, like, well, it's just like dropped out of high school, like he's doing well, so it doesn't matter. But like, Jordan was already like out of high school. Like, I went into a college preparatory school. Like, I'm a good student, what I'm saying? So like, but but they were right. Like, like what's my excuse? So it was kind of like, it was that hero's journey. Like, it's the call. And you know what? I answered the call. So,
yeah.
I guess it was like a halfway.
Emily says, better love story than Twilight.
Glad she said it. But, speaking of your match with Kenta, that match was killer. My son, who's about to turn 16, would say that match slapped. That would be his reaction. Sounds so dumb when I say it. But that was really a masterpiece, man. What a match.
Yeah, no, it was awesome. You know what? You used slapped correctly. It's like that match slapped. And you know what? I will agree that match slapped. But
that's the first time I ever heard that.
I'm glad I can pull it out of you. That's the first time on the show. Let's go.
That's the first time. I mean, when I heard slap, my mom, it was my mom or dad. I'm gonna slap your ass. I'm gonna slap you, and it's me saying to the kids. It's not. I never heard that before like that.
Welcome to the 21st century, Lewis.
Yep.
Oh my God.
I've been on the receiving end of that the slaps phrase as well, but luckily nowadays times have changed. So, but yeah, I got slapped a bunch in that Kenta match. I got the shit slapped out of me. But you know what? At the end of the day, yeah, you should start saying that. Slaps. Like it's fun. To all the cool lingo. It's just fun. It rolls off the tongue. But yeah, like. And that was a match too where, like the first thing I did was like slap Kenta in the face and like, who do I think I am, pal? That guy, but yeah, but like, I think that's like, especially like that match, like obviously like that, they're going to like talk about that far down the line. Like, oh, this match with Kenta, like I knew it right there, Griffin McCoy, but as they should. But I think like that perfectly encapsulates who I am at the end of the day. Like I did not get in this business to like I understood like the second I stepped in that ring, even though I was 18 I was way too sure of myself, and like I still am. But like, at the end of the day, like when you step in that ring, like you are not friends. Like you have no friends when you step in that ring. Unless you're in a tag team match. But even at the same time, like even with Alec Price, like that dude wasn't my friend in the match. Like I won the damn thing. But especially when you wrestle like someone you looked up to, and like I looked up to Kenta big time, like huge, and like I still look up to that guy, but it's different now. There's like a level of like
Respect
for show. I always hope, I know there's a little respect right there, like because I went in there and he was just another wrestler, whoever it is, like whether it's Undertaker, whether it's John Cena, like I 100% believe whoever I get in the ring with, I'm going to have to kick their ass a little bit. And it might not work out for me all the time. I'm going to get my ass kicked, but it's really not about that. It's the fact that I'm going to go in there. I'm going to kick you in the face because that's what I do. I cannot change my moveset now. I kick people in the face. I hit them in the face. Pain on people, like I can do all, I fly a little bit. I'm a very good technician, but at the end of the day, you are going to get hit by Griffin McCoy. I'm going to have to kick you in the face. That's going to get some people very angry, and they're going to want to. And you know what? You can ask, as JD Drake, did to me. That dude like moonsault on my face and busted my nose. He chopped me to hell. But I'm going to eat. Fred Yehi just like bruised me up, but like I got in there, I stared him down, I talked trash like I do. And I kicked him in the face. That's what I do. I go in there, whoever it is, I'm going to compete. I have to. What else am I going to do? Like if I want to be world heavyweight champion of the world, WWE champ, or IWGP heavyweight champion, because like that's what I want to do. Like I envision myself going there. Like I have every plan, knock on some wood, for your brother. But, unless something happens out of my control, like I'm going to be there. And if something even happens out of my control, I'll strap a prosthetic leg on, like I'll make it work.
Geez.
The Texas tornado did it. Like, hell, man.
True.
That guy, he's a G. He did it. He said, hell, high water, I'm getting in that ring. And you know what? He was still lit. So I'm going to go there and I'm going to do my thing until I can't anymore, because, I can either do that or I can give up and just be not happy for the rest of my life. And you know what? I'd rather die in the ring than like not be happy with the rest of my life. We're not on this planet for very long. So you know what? You might as well go out doing something you love. And I'm willing to go out doing something I love. So why not?
Thank you. That was a great way to end this hour, Griff. Please tell everyone where they can find you on the social media, and let's all go to his Twitter for sure and see why his mom's so mad at him. Go ahead.
Yes. No, I've done a good job of bearing it recently, but I am at the Griffin McCoy. I will spell it for y'all. THEGRIFFINMCCOY. It's all lowercase, made it real easy for you. That's for Twitter and Instagram. I have a Facebook. It's Griffin McCoy. I am very bad at posting things on it, but I would highly suggest that if you have any booking inquiries whatsoever, reach me on Facebook. I do have an email as well. It's griffin.mccoysf, but that's a little harder to remember. griffin.mccoysf@gmail.com. If you just go to my social media, like I'm going to have my email link there anyways. You know what? We live in a 21st century world. You're on Twitter regardless. I don't care who you are. You're on Twitter. You're looking up something. Even though you're in the carpentry, there's carpentry stuff on Twitter. Come on. Who are we kidding nowadays? Just hit me up on one of those. Find me on Facebook. It's Griffin McCoy. It's right there in the bottom left of my screen. You guys can spell. Yeah.
Griffin, hang out for a couple minutes after we sign off. Jack, please tell everyone where they can find you and get some terrific artwork.
You can
He's
find
worse than me.
you can find me at Jack Purcell Inc. INK. Jack Purcell Inc. I'm on Instagram and I'm on Facebook. Hit me up there if you're looking for commissions artwork. I got a couple appearances coming up that we'll be talking about. And really quick, next week, we've got an interesting Kickstarter project called Mother Trucker. It's a pro wrestling comic book. So if you're into wrestling and comics, make sure you're tuning in next week for that. Yeah, Griffin, thank you so much for being with us. I'm going to give Lewis the floor in a second, but if you have 1 minute, hang out after we sign off.
Yes, I do.
And you can find me each and every Monday night with that Wonder Woman, Jamie Dolan, and Emily May, a.k.a. Quinderella, on the Angry Geek Show. Every Tuesday night, you can find me right here with my tag team partner like no other, my brother from another mother, the one and only ink-slinging Jack Purcell on the Faces and Heels podcast. You can find this all on the Angry Geek Show network. Just go to the website. We got a whole bunch of stuff there. Links to both the girls' cosplay page. Just go there. You can buy t-shirts there, all our swag, Jack's Patreon, Jack's artwork. Everything that you can imagine is there. Go to links to all our social medias, both the girls' websites and their social medias. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, well, you can also go to Roku and to Amazon, look up Pod TV, and we're international there, baby. That's right, because we are the Towers of Power. We're too sweet to be sour, and we're funky like a monkey. But yeah, here's an ad. You have been watching The Angry Geek Show on Pod TV. Visit our website today. And for guest bookings, email us at theangrygeekshow@gmail.com today.